Welcome to So Very Easy. My name is Laura, and there are a lot of steps into making a quilt. It's not just sewing the fabric together. There's a lot that needs to be done before we get to that point. We need to choose the pattern, search out that fabric, buy the fabric, prepare the fabric, and get the fabric all cut. Then we're able to start sewing. So that's a big chunk of our time. Now, if you want to save that time, you can get kits. And that's exactly what I'm going to do today. I have a kit from the Precut, and it's called Stars at Sea. I love the color combinations. I have the pattern, and all of the fabric is bundled beautifully for me so that I can just get to the sewing. I love these colors, that black and white and all of those bold colors. So I do have all of the directions and my bundle of fabric. And it is really bundled quite nicely. The unbundling is a lot of fun. So there is my kit and all of my pre-cut fabrics, well labeled and beautifully cut. This is what's going to save me a ton of time. So the quilt is going to be 60 inches by 72 inches. And the bonus with this is they also give you cutting directions. So if you want to make a second one out of your own fabric, you can do that. Now there are half square triangles with this, but we are going to use 8 at a time half square triangle method. And that also saves us a lot of time. To start those, I'm going to need 8 of the black and 8 of the white. So my half square triangles are going to be made out of this black and white combination. On the back of my light color, I'm going to need to draw some lines. I need a big X going from corner to corner and then centering, so I have 4 patches. So I started with that X and then drew from center to center. These are stitching lines and cutting lines. I'm going to need to stitch down each side of the lines that go from corner to corner. So I'm going to have one seam here, one seam there, and those 2 seams going in this direction. So a total of 4 seams, but it's all on this one piece of fabric. So once those lines are drawn, I'm going to be able to match up the wrong sides from one of my darks and my lights. Now we are going to be cutting these apart, so I would recommend taking your machine and making those stitches a little bit smaller. And that way when we do cut it, we still have that strength. Once those 4 rows are done, I'm going to be able to cut this apart. Each of those lines that I drew now are cutting lines. If you have a rotating mat, this is a great time to use it. But when we do use these mats, we have to remember to lift up, not slide. Once all of those lines have been cut, when we take it apart, you will notice we now have 8 half square triangles done, and it only took us 4 rows of stitching. So this is a great method for making any half square triangles. We get to treat it the same way. We're going to press it to the dark side or what the directions say, and then trim it to the size that we need. So already I am saving a lot of time by having that fabric pre-cut and doing this method, making 8 half square triangles at a time. Once our black and white half square triangles are done, we are going to make some more. We do have another package. They're already pre-cut for us. We're going to take some out of this and we're going to match them. So I have 2 and 2. This is one set, a set, a set, and a set. So it does show us how to match them together, and they were also placed in order for us. So it was really easy to match. We're going to turn these into half square triangles, 8 at a time. The squares are just smaller, but the system is going to be the same. Draw a line from corner to corner, down the center, stitch those 4 lines, and then cut them apart, trim them, and we're going to have 8 from each of these 2 squares. With our half square triangles done, we're going to be able to move on to the next part. we're going to take this set of pre-cuts and stitch them this way. So we have a series where the line is going to be stitched in one angle with the light fabric, and the other colors, the line's going to be stitched in the opposite way. So it's important that we keep those directions. So I've separated my two piles. The white will go with these colors and the black will go with these. So I'm only going to work on one section at a time, and that way I make sure that I maintain that direction. So those white squares are going to fit on the top, and I'm going to go from that center up. So I'm going to do all of these like this. Then I'm going to be able to trim and flip these up. So we're not changing the size, I'm just adding these corners on. For the black ones, it is the same. However, I'm going in the opposite direction. So we need to draw a line and stitch right on that line from corner to corner. So we're going to have all of those going in that direction. With these pieces, we're going to be able to start one of the blocks. We're going to start with these for the center and build out. So these are all of the pieces we need to put this block together. Each one of these piles, we will have 15 pieces. So we're going to end up with 15 blocks. We have the smaller half square triangles. Those are going to go into the center. So we need to start and lay those out and pay attention to where those angles are going. Those fabrics are going to match up to these little pieces. So we're going to have a dark and a light on each side. They are all going to match up. So we're going to sew this together in rows and then put the rows together. When this block is all put together, you can really see how these become one piece. So it really gives us that beautiful star look. This was done with the method of doing 8 half square triangles at once, and the next block is going to be done the same. Our pieces are already cut for us. We need to draw the lines just like we did before. Stitch those 2 lines, cut them apart, and we're going to be able to trim these. So we have the black and white together, and we're going to do the same thing with some colored pieces. So we have different colors put together, just like we did this. Once the half square triangles are done, we're going to be able to take those pre-cuts and add them. I'm going to have 2 stacks in one corner, 2 stacks in the second corner of the dark, and the white is going to fill in all of the rest of the spots. All of these fabrics are stacked so all of the right sides are up. So it's going to be easy to go to the machine and sew them together. We don't have to worry about looking to see what is the right and what is the wrong side. So we're going to be able to sew these together the same as we've done the last ones. Sew those rows together and then sew those rows together. We now have the second block, and we have 15 of these blocks. So the kit does give us one piece of each of the cuts that we're going to need, and the only other fabric that I have had left over was the trimmings from the half square triangles. So there's no wasted fabric. It's just enough to make those perfect little cuts. I'm going to be able to put these blocks together now. We're going to do them in rows, and then we're going to have this great pattern. My Stars at the Sea is now done. Those colors are beautiful, the fabrics were beautiful, and I have my binding already cut for me. And I do have the backing fabric. So the kit came complete with everything except the batting. And the kit did come with a little bit of extra fabric, well, just in case. So I'm going to use that fabric, and I'm going to make some pieces to add on the back. Now there are many different kits that we can buy, but when we get them where the fabric is already pre-cut for us, that really is a time saver. And this particular one was even a bigger time saver because we were able to make 8 half square triangles at a time. I'll put some links in the description if you want to check out the kits from the Fabric Hut. And as always, thank you for joining me today on Sew Very Easy. Feel free to subscribe. I'm on Facebook, Instagram. I have a newsletter. It's all free under Sew Very Easy. And be sure to make every day a Sewtacular day. Bye for now.